Okay, today we're going to be learning section 9.6, percent of increase and decrease on page 446. You should be on page 446 in your books. All right, so the first thing you need to know is your percent of change formula. I like to shorten this up a little bit and just say the amount of change. And you'll see that I use that wording in the examples too. Over the original amount, divided by the original amount, okay? But essentially the two are the same thing. I'm looking at how much difference is there between the original and the new amounts, and then I divide that by the original amount to find my percent of change. All right, so if you want to write my shortened version of the formula, that's perfectly fine. All right, so let's look at example 1. In example 1, it says find a percent of increase. Okay, so it's already telling me that it's an increase. So just like with the proportion formula in the percent equation, I want your original problem to be your formula. Amount of change. This just helps you kind of get it ingrained in your head what it's going to be, because I won't give it to you on a quiz. Amount of change divided by the original amount. Okay, so how much did it change from 8 to 13? How much did it change from 8 to 13? From 8 to 13, Justin? Yeah, 5, right? 8 to 13, the change is 5. So the amount of change would be 5. And what's my original? My original was 8, right? Because I went from 8 to 13. So 5 over 8 is going to be my fraction. And now in my calculator, I do 5 divided by 8 to get my decimal value of 0.625. But is that my percentage? No, it's not. Now, some people yesterday on their quiz, they left it at a decimal and then they just said percent, final answer. Okay, it doesn't work like that. No. You have a decimal value, you need to convert it to a percentage, and what is it as a percent? Kevin? 62.5%, okay, and that would be my percent of increase. All right, any questions? Any questions? Okay. Okay, now in example 2, now I'm just going to go the other way, but it's still the same formula. Amount of change divided by the original amount. Okay, so now I'm just doing percent of decrease, so I'm going the opposite way. I go from 49 to 35. All right, well, what's my amount of change from 49 to 35? What's the amount of change? What's the difference between 49 and 35? 14, thank you. Okay, so 14 divided by my original amount. How much is my original amount? 49 is the original amount, not the ending amount. 14 divided by 49, so go ahead and put in your calculators. 14 divided by 49, and you get a big old long decimal, don't you? But what did we learn with the percent equation? What did we learn when we have a long decimal like that? How many decimals do we go out? We always round it to the thousandths place, so we have to look at that fourth digit. So we're given, I'm going to go ahead, you don't have to write this part on your homework, but I do want you to write it in your notes. So I have 0.2857. 7 is my number that I'm looking at. So the 7 rounds the 5 to a what? 6. So this is the part that you would write on your homework, 0.286. You can go ahead and just round it in your head once you look at your calculator, but I want you to see what you're doing. Anytime you have a long decimal, you need to round to the nearest thousandth. Then you give your percentage, 28.6%. Don't forget to convert to a percent. Okay, I want you to practice a couple. Now, here's your instructions on this. Find the percent of change and tell me if it's an increase or a decrease. Okay, so there's two parts. You're going to use the formula, just like we just did. Find the percent of change and tell me if it's an increase or a decrease. All right, so someone raise your hand and tell me, what is the first fraction that you have? You have original of 16, new of 28. What's the fraction when you plug it in the formula, Alicia?
12/16.
Okay, very good. 12 over 16, because 12 is the change between 16 and 28, and 16 is the original. So what's 12 divided by 16, class?
0.75.
Very good, 0.75. But is that my answer?
No.
No. What's my answer?
75% increase.
What, increase or decrease?
Increase.
Increase, very good. 75% increase. The entire thing is your answer, 75% increase. All right, now on the second one, someone raise your hand and tell me what is going to be your fraction. Justin?
48 over 60.
Very good, 48 over 60, because 48 is the difference between the two numbers, and 60 is my original. Now, class, what's 48 divided by 60?
0.8.
0.8. Okay, so 0.8 is my decimal. And what is my answer?
80% decrease.
80% increase or decrease?
Decrease.
Decrease. Very good. Okay, anybody get both of those right? Did we get both right? Okay, good. Good. Now, here's just as an important question. If you got something wrong, do you see what you did wrong? You see where you messed up? Okay, do you have any questions about that? Anybody have a question, Justin?
So every time you answer it, you have to say like blah 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 percent increase or decrease?
Yes. Yeah. And on your homework, it'll be basically exactly like that. Now, on your homework, it does say use estimation to check your answer. I'm not worried about that, okay? This is all I'm worried about. Ashley?
So, on the first one, you got the 12 by subtracting.
Yes, you always subtract the two numbers. It doesn't matter which one comes first or second. You're just subtracting them from each other to find the difference, okay? So well, I wouldn't say it's never going to be negative, because if it's a decrease, it is negative, but I'm not worried about negatives. I'm just looking at what's the difference between the two numbers, okay? All right, good question. Any other questions? All right, one more example. Now, example 3 is a word problem. You've got a couple of these on your homework tonight. Okay, so let's look at it together on the bottom of page 447. It says a taco company puts 24 taco shells in every box. Recently, the company expanded the box and puts 25% more shells in each box. How many shells are in every box? Well, we have to find the amount of increase first. It says they put 25% more, but how much is that? How do I figure that out? How much 25% more of 24 is? How do you think I could figure that out? Not by adding, by multiplying. If it's 25% more of 24, I need to multiply. Can I just multiply 25 times 24? What do I need to do before I can multiply a percent times a number? I need to change it to a decimal. So when I change it over to a decimal, I get 25 hundredths times 24. And what does that give me?
6.
I heard it. Yep. 6. Okay, so 6 is my answer?
No.
Okay, how do I get to my answer? Step 2. Alicia? I add it back to the original amount. I figured out, if they said that they put 25% more shells, I figured out that that number is 6. They put 6 more shells. Well, what's the total? That's going to be 24 plus 6, which gives me how many? 30 taco shells in the new box. Okay? So, again, just kind of using this concept in more of a real-life application. All right, your homework tonight, number 6 through 14 all. Remember, your original problem is going to look like this. Okay, your original problem is going to look like this. So I'll freeze the screen on this slide. All right, and if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 9.6.